Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I am Melissa Wilson with Fox 26 News in Houston, morning anchor as well as a medical reporter. And as a medical reporter, I get to meet the most remarkable people and then introduce you to them. So it's certainly an honor to be able to do that. These are people in Lunch for the Soul who I feature that I feel like we can all learn the most important life lessons. They usually have advice that we can share with so many other people and potentially end up saving other lives. It's certainly the case today. So this is a lovely woman from Houston who has taken her grief and her sorrow and she has put it into advocacy to make a difference in others' lives. So please let me introduce you to Alyssia. She is just a remarkable woman. Hello, welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you are such a brave young woman to be able to share everything that you have been through. And I just commend you for that. I want to take everybody back to what's is sparking this conversation to begin with. And it starts with this little one, your precious baby. And you had twins born micro preemies, which means they were so tiny. And then that put them at risk of infection. What happened?
Yeah, so we found out, I found out in 2017 that we were going to have twins, which was incredible. And so this is a picture of me and my son, Mark Anthony II. And, you just don't know until you're in it, until you're actually going through this. And we couldn't stop contractions. And so we were in the hospital pretty early on at 19 weeks. And the doctors told me 25 weeks is the safest mark to kind of give these babies the best chance that they have to survive. And so at 25 weeks is when we did give birth. And it was just so, again, it's like as soon as you get in it, then you're able to really understand and see the life of being in the NICU. And so they did tell me that the babies had higher risks and they were only 1 pound, 14 ounces. And so unfortunately, at 16 days old, my son ended up getting sick. And I was just very like, what's going on? And the nurses, told me you should come, that they didn't think he was going to make it, which I 100%, I feel like the nurses, especially in the NICU, have such a hard job to be transparent, but also like very vigilant for the babies that they're caring for. And so for them to kind of give me that heads up to be there with my son during those final moments was really special and very like closing of what I needed. And so, I have a strong faith. And so I know that my son didn't die sick, but was healed. And I am very a huge believer in that. But when I asked, like, well, what happened? How did he get sick? They said it was due to sepsis. And so that kind of sprung in my head. Well, what is that? And how do I learn more about that? And so I ended up Googling, of course, sepsis, and they told me it was an infection. And so basically sepsis in his body, they believe it was carried through moisture because water does have bacteria, but because they were so tiny, he just was not able to fight the infection itself. And so it did take its toll on him. And so when I was researching about sepsis, I found Sepsis Alliance and reached out to them because I was like, okay, now I'm part of this community. And I did not want my son's story to just stop there in a hospital. I wanted to do more. And as an artist, I felt this is a way for me to give back. And so I was really grateful to reach out to them and learn more about what they do.
It's incredible that you were able to turn that grief and to try to start raising awareness because I was looking at their information and it shows that 35% of people don't know what sepsis is, yet it is remarkable of how many people get sick from it of all different ages. So kudos to you for truly trying to make a difference. I want to show everybody and get everybody up to date because I want everyone to know how deadly this is. And if you look at the stats, I think women, we're very fearful of breast cancer. Men are usually fearful of prostate cancer, but this is something that takes lives of both of those plus AIDS combined. I mean, I don't think people realize that. Do you?
Yeah, for sure. No. And I think, even for me in the hospital, not knowing what it was and trying to understand that and then actually learning about it. And while like seeing this can happen to anybody at any time through a cut, through a surgery, through anything that can really just cause the body, because you hear the term septic shock, right? So I think it's like we know it, but we don't
Yeah.
actually realize what it is. And so it's definitely something that I try to, again, use my son's story to really raise that awareness.
Well, and you really want to try to help children understand it too, because it does affect so many children, and not just babies like what you suffered, but older children and teens as well. Let's talk about bug and this creature that is so calming, but yet very informative, I'm going to say. Look at this cutie patootie, and you came up with this idea?
Yeah, so we actually together, me and Sepsis Alliance, we ended up having a brainstorm on like, okay, I'm an artist, what can I do? And so the founder of Sepsis Alliance lost his daughter to sepsis, which really sprung him into this whole advocacy of it. And so he nicknamed her Bug. So we wanted to create in honor of his daughter a little ladybug character that could honor that nickname and a hence to her. So we created a ladybug and we absolutely loved her. And so now she is being used to help, families and children learn about sepsis and really understand what can we do to prevent it, what can we do to just stay safe. And so it's been a great avenue for me as an artist to do something, and again, in honor of my son.
Such a good idea. And again, there's something about a ladybug everybody loves, right? It's something that's approachable. It's something you want to land on you. And so I feel like especially children will be more receptive to understand the information, might not be so scared to learn about it, right? I mean, it's just the perfect combo. Well, a lot of people have taken note of what you've done. You've even won an award for your advocacy through a group of Erin K. Flatley, who also lost her life young, I believe in her 20s. And in her name, you received that award. How much does it mean to you that people are realizing what you're doing and people understand that you are using your grief to help others?
Yes, and actually Erin is the nickname that was through Bug. And so, for me, I didn't even know they had that award. And when it was given to me, I was just like, what? Like, I was doing this truly to give back. And as a creative, for me to do that in a special way of, again, like in my son's memory, it was just so unexpected. So when they did give that to me, it really just kind of gave me that, I don't know, like that piece of like, okay, like this was all to come to plan and in a bigger way of my son. And, even for his sisters, his twin sister, she just turned 7 or 6, I believe. And my oldest just turned 7. So I want them to truly remember their brother and kind of learn again from me, like through this loss. I always say, through pain comes beauty. And through this loss that, yes, was very painful and very hard for me as a mother to walk through, I wanted to find a beautiful way to really create something not just for my son, but for my daughters to reflect back on and to see how we use this time to create something beautiful and to inspire more parents and children.
And I love seeing this photo of you with your girls. And like you said, just, we see the happiness and the joy in your hearts. And we know that you still miss your boy so much. And that's why you're doing all of this and just keeping his memory alive. Now, you're also getting the attention of some very important people in Texas, including our governor. You got to tell us about that.
Yes. So being an advocate for sepsis, I wanted to not only, do it through art, but I wanted to reach out to the state of Texas and also the city of Houston, but to get it recognized September as Sepsis Awareness Month. And so I've been working very hard and diligent every year to get that. And so the state of Texas and the city of Houston have accepted that as Sepsis Awareness Month in September. So I'm very
Well,
proud of
we're
that.
kicking it off early for you in August to make sure everybody knows to listen in September and to spread the message. I want to go through. I was just looking at, you were talking about the Sepsis Foundation you've been working with. They have some really important tips, and I think that we should really talk about those since your mission in life now is to bring awareness, and it's all about time, right? And there's something to be said for that. So we're talking temperature, infection, mental decline, extremely ill. If you or a loved one has those symptoms, it's time to seek immediate care, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's important too, because I had a friend who actually, I want to say maybe a couple years ago, she knew about sepsis because of my story and what I've been sharing. And she said that her mother was in the hospital and that she was seeing those signs. And she brought it up to the doctor and said, "Can you check for sepsis?" And sure enough, they did see that and they were able to help her mom. And so she was like, "I would have never known if I hadn't already heard this from you." So that was really, like to actually hear somebody who knew because I had been sharing about our story and my son, to know to, ask the doctor to look for that and to save her mom's life, I think was really amazing. So it is definitely important if you see any of those signs to
Yeah.
definitely speak up about it.
No matter what the age is. And I was looking at sepsis.org and their website, and they just have a powerful section about the faces of sepsis. And here are some of those just images here where you've got another mother who went through a really tough time with her sick baby. You have another mom here who went through a tough time. And it's just one after another that just shows you that this happens to so many different people. Okay, so let's talk about prevention. What are some things that people can do? Obviously, an infection can happen in a hospital like it happened to you all. I think this would be more for people perhaps at home to think about of really staying on top of any type of infection, right? Making sure it doesn't get worse, seeking help if it does.
Yes. So something, and especially with bug, we do little coloring
Mhm,
sheets, and one of the biggest thing is always keeping your hands clean and washing your
mhm,
hands. If you get a cut or a scratch, for us to just maintain it and make sure we're cleaning it and not letting it
mhm.
get to a point where you see it's getting infected and you haven't really touched it. So I think just those like minimal efforts of us keeping ourselves clean and, our cuts and everything like that maintained is really good.
Mhm. And when we take a look at the numbers, it's unbelievable that almost 50 million people will have to deal with this year. And you think about those numbers, you would think we all would know more about it, right? But
Yeah.
it's just almost like it stays quiet in these pockets. And we're talking $62 billion a year trying to treat people with it. Those numbers are staggering.
Yeah, I mean, just reading that, I'm like, oh my gosh,
I
like,
know. It's
yeah.
just absolutely unreal, and I just wanna make sure people know there are resources like sepsis.org where people can find out more and then share that information. What is your biggest goal in the coming, I would say, 6 weeks while you're into heading into September and Sepsis Awareness? What is the important take-home message you want people to know?
I really want people to not only stop and, listen to different things that you get to share like this and really think about it, because again, at any moment, if you have
Mhm,
those signs or those symptoms, you can easily try to save not just you, but maybe a loved one or a friend. And, again, loss is something very hard. And I just want to also like encourage anybody who has gone through loss to find like a beautiful way to either honor it or an outlet where you can something bigger that you didn't even expect, because there's nothing, if you had told me in that moment in that hospital when my son was passing, like there's going to be a bigger story here, a bigger way that you're going to impact people, I would have been like, okay, like whatever, right? But like to see it now really unfold and to know that it is helping others and honoring my son's life, I think it's just incredible.
Well, it's remarkable to see how you have been able to do that. How did you mentioned earlier your faith and how that really came in to I'm sure make you realize there's something bigger and larger than all of us, right? But how did you turn over and at what point did you say, I cannot grieve like this anymore. I have to put my heart into something else and help others? How did you make that transition and at what point after your great loss?
Honestly, the day of, because he was a twin and I still had my daughter there fighting every day. And it was like, I knew I needed to get through it because she was still there. And if I wasn't at 100, who was going to be there for her every single day? And I still had, their sister who wasn't even one at the time. And so it was a lot of pressure to be mom and to really like, empower myself of, okay, you got this. But like I said, my faith and God has really helped me through it. And again, being a creative and being an artist is something that I am very passionate about. And have been lucky even here locally to work with the Houston Texans and share my story with them as well. But, it's just been exciting to see how art can really impact through loss and through give back in a special way that it, again, is impacting so many other children and families. So I'm really just proud of myself and, again, just honoring my son and just having a platform for him to never be forgotten.
Well, it is an honor for all of us to get to know you and hear your story and hear about your beloved son who is going to live on forever through you and the difference you're making for so many people. Where can people find out more about Bug and everything that you've been talking about today?
I would definitely look at Sepsis Alliance and sepsis.org. They have all of their info there. And again, there's something for everybody, for kids, for families. The coloring sheet.
The alarms are ringing.
So much fun for us to download. And even my own little girls, like they love coloring her. And so it's just a lot of different things that you can learn about. And they also have Spanish. So there are the videos that they can be watched in Spanish too with Bug. So those families can also learn.
Oh, that's super helpful. Well, Alyssia, it's an honor to get to, again, to speak to you. Thank you for sharing your beautiful message with us and for making such a big difference.
Thank you again so much for having me and being able to share it. So
well, I hope you'll stay in touch and let us know in the future. And let's just make this an annual thing. So I expect to talk to you every September and anytime in between you need us. And let's do this together. And as a medical reporter for Fox, it would be my honor to work with you year after year in September to talk about this.
I would love that. Thank you.
All right. Take care of you. Thank you again. And I just want to tell you all, please join me every Wednesday right here for Lunch for the Soul. Again, a time to meet just remarkable people. If you happen to tune into us late and you want to hear everything Alyssia had to say, all you have to do is go to Fox 26's YouTube page and you can find all of my Lunch for the Souls. You're going to love every guest that I've been able to feature because they are unbelievable people who have quite a testimony to share. We're all in this together. I think it's lovely for us to have this faith-based community. And I'm so proud of my bosses at Fox who let me share my faith and my love of God with you. And I truly believe as a medical reporter, not only in my heart, but from actual research it's in writing from researchers who will tell you people who pray when they have medical problems always do better. They have proven it, and that's by scientists, and some of them who didn't even believe until they studied it. So keep the faith, and thank you for letting me share mine with you. God bless each and every one of you, and I hope to see you back next time, same place, same time for Lunch for the Soul. For now, if you need to reach out to me and you want to be featured on Lunch for the Soul, melissa.wilson@fox.com is the place to go. I'll see you next time.